a big virtual round of applause for Mary Ellen Reihsen. Mary Ellen, thank you so much for being our guest appearance today. I'm going to exit off the screen and give it all to you.
Travis, thank you so much for the warm welcome. I am also a proud AGC member, so I am very thrilled to be doing this talk today. Just a nod to Office Center. I also office there. I think they're a great organization and a really good place to do business if you don't want to be in one fixed location, as I don't. Yeah, so Travis told you that I am an employment and corporate attorney. What he didn't tell you is that I'm a Minnesota girl. I moved out to Washington for a couple of years, and so I work for a Seattle firm, but now I'm back in Minnesota, and I really want to work with my local business community and just provide some advice here today on how we can sleep through the night, good care for your business. So next slide, please. Self-care for your business. You may be aware that we're going through an unprecedented time, and it is extremely stressful in general. To be a human being is extremely stressful. I, like a lot of other people, are taking a lot of steps to make sure that we're living our lives well, that our health is as good as it possibly can be, and that we're able to navigate the day-to-day stresses that are coming at us. People are exercising a lot more, eating a lot better, taking their vitamins, paying attention to how much they sleep, all in an effort to make sure that you can weather whatever is coming, be it stress, be it illness, whatever that looks like. I would like to talk about applying some of those same principles to what you do with your business. Next slide, please. So, sorry, I think we zipped past one. Thank you. So, what it looks like for self-care for your business is paying attention to those same basic inputs. Self-care for your business looks like every time you make a change, you're going to want to look at what are your short-term goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to bring on employees so you can increase output? Great. And then giving some consideration to your long-term goals. Are you taking on a new location because you want to be in a new market, a new jurisdiction? Excellent. It's great to be considering those things at every juncture. Next slide, please. The third element of this self-care program, and the one that I really like to pay attention to, is the laws and the regulations that apply to your business. Every time you make a change, there's almost always some sort of legal consideration that has to go with it. Paying attention to these things, this is the eating your broccoli and taking your vitamins of paying attention to your business. It is, building a strong foundation so we can sell our businesses when we want, so we can partner when we're ready to partner, so that we can grow and move and change in every juncture without realizing that we've, missed some step in the past and now it's tripping us up. Next slide, please. So my sort of self-care program, the idea that you look at your short-term goals, long-term goals, and pay attention to the regulations that affect what you're trying to do, applies to almost everything you do, but there are three areas that I'd like to sort of go through because most businesses go through these things. The first is just general operations. We're also going to think about your long-term goals or your succession planning. That's something most businesses have to deal with at some point. And you and your team. Good businesses are made up of the people that run them. So those are certainly things we have to consider. Next slide, please. So let's talk about general operations. Next slide. Okay, so with every move, there are these considerations that you have to take on regarding how you run your business. This happens every time you make a change, but certainly it applies when you're starting your business up. The biggest thing that you have to do is start your formation. And this, again, it's the lima beans. It's making sure that you have the proper documents in place. If you're a sole prop, maybe you want to think about upgrading to an LLC to provide yourself with a little more liability protection. If you are a corporation, you want to make sure that you have proper bylaws in place that you can abide by. You've got a board in place and people on that board that you're taking minutes and just sort of keeping up with the bureaucratic part of running a business, keeping the records clean. You also want to make sure that certainly you're checking in with the local Internal Revenue Service. You're getting your proper tax ID numbers so you can open that bank account and keep your business funds separate. That is so crucial and a fundamental thing that'll save you a million headaches. If you're starting your business with a team, checking in with the Department of Labor or the Minnesota Unemployment Insurance, just to make sure that you've checked all those boxes and that you're good with the powers that be, those people that are going to audit you. Next slide, please. Long-term planning. So this is a fun one. Long-term planning and our, self-care, our lima beans. This goes to making sure that your records are in place so you can, next slide, please. You can bring new people on when you're ready to partner with somebody. That's a big life change for a business. It's kind of akin to getting married. Preparing to take on a partnership should be thought of as sort of premarital counseling. You should be talking about what the money arrangement's going to be, what the time commitment is, definitely working out what happens if somebody gets hurt, what happens if somebody wants to exit the company. Considering all of those things, putting them in place, getting the proper documentation are those self-care steps that are going to make sure that our foundation is very strong and we don't have to deal with problems later down the line. Because you never want to have to make decisions when you're in crisis. You want to make sure that you've addressed all of those things up front. Certainly also, when you're looking to sell your business, you want to make sure that you have your house in order. If you're selling your business to a buyer, they're going to want to look at everything. So making sure that you've got, a long-term, fully documented P&L sheets, making sure that you know what your inventory input and output is, certainly, putting you in a position where you can talk about whether or not you think you have any potential liabilities coming up so you can cleanly pass off a business and sell it. Next slide, please. You and your team. Next slide, please. So I love this quote. Put it up a little. The purpose of bureaucracy is to compensate for incompetence and lack of discipline. It's a Jim Collins quote from Good to Great. I love that book. I like this quote. I find it a little personally insulting, but I think it really proves the point. It's, all of those organizations and the people that are looking at you are there to make sure that you are keeping up, doing the right things, checking all the boxes, and abiding by the multitude of laws that are out there that you simply have to check in with to properly do business. Next slide, please. So when we're thinking about employees, this is really where I think the self-care is of the utmost importance. You want to make sure that you're doing a fair amount of research and really thinking about proper classification of employees, overtime issues, being aware that there are older worker benefits and protections, that there are disability discrimination issues, discrimination in general issues. Just be aware that there are a multitude of laws and taking the time to make sure that you're addressing all of those things as you're making this change. Next slide, please. The reason I think that this is so very important is that employment is a very prickly pear. It's worth at this point checking in with your attorney. Certainly doesn't have to be me, but somebody. And I'm not one that thinks that you need to check in with an attorney at every juncture. I think most of these laws are set up so a lot of businesses can navigate them on their own. But employees has so many different aspects. It's worth checking in with somebody that can navigate these issues for you. Also, building, your business on a strong foundation when it comes to your employees is not just about checking the boxes and making sure you're not going to get audited and dinged. It's also about building the kind of culture you want. This goes to your long-term planning. If you can build a proper employment environment, you can keep people with you indefinitely. There's nothing more expensive than turnover. You lose all of that institutional knowledge, you lose loyalty. Being able to create an environment where your employees are treated fairly and their work environment is pleasant will take you further than almost any other aspect of your company. So I really think that it is worth the self-care effort to invest in your employees. They will make your business. Next slide, please. So business ownership I think it's a wonderful lifestyle, even when it is crazy, even when it does keep you up at night. We do these things so, we can limit our liability, and make sure that, we don't have to think about these things, and we don't have to have those, oh my gosh, moments in the middle of the night. Self-care is good for what you're building so you can accomplish your goals, but it's also good for your peace of mind. So I highly encourage this sort of self-care. Certainly it's about taking care of yourself, taking care of your business, making sure that you can be profitable and safe from unexpected audits, liabilities, dings, surprises, or roadblocks to accomplishing your goals. And also take care of your people.